My name is Michael Hunn, and I'm the Bishop of the Diocese of the Rio Grande for the Episcopal Church, which encompasses New Mexico and far west Texas, about 40% of the U.S.-Mexico border. And I know our diocese well enough to know that some of you might hear what I'm about to say as a political message. And so I want to be clear that I'm not a politician, but as a bishop, my job is to teach the Christian faith, and that means teaching values and morality. What I'm talking about here is the common moral ground that I think we can all stand for, not just as Christians, but as people with a moral conscience. So I encourage you to listen to the whole message, and then we can talk about it. And I want to bring you an update from our Rio Grande Borderland Ministries that has been for decades active all along that 40% of the U.S.-Mexico border. What's happening now is the people that have been arrested and detained on the streets of Minneapolis, a lot of the footage you have seen on social media, those detainees, many of them are now in El Paso, where we are struggling to get access to them. As those detainees arrived, they were sequestered out of the general population of the detention center on Montana, and we have not been allowed to get in to visit them, to have clergy visitations. The Bishop of Minnesota, Craig Loya, and I have been working hand in hand. There are Episcopalians among those that have been detained and are now in El Paso, and we are working so that our lawyers here in our Episcopal Church are connecting with the lawyers there in the Diocese of Minnesota to make sure that we're doing the best that we can. Earlier this week, here in the state of New Mexico, at the Roundhouse, which is our state house in Santa Fe, there was a large protest to try to get the state government of New Mexico to stop allowing federal detention centers for immigration enforcement to happen in the state of New Mexico. Just last week in the city of El Paso, Texas, we have learned that the city is considering reopening a fourth detention center in the city of El Paso. And so our border chaplain, Ana Reza, who does such wonderful work for Rio Grande Borderland Ministries, she was at the public comment session, and I want to play the clip of what she said.
Next, we have Ana Reza, followed by Lluvia Silva.
Good morning, County Judge and County Commissioners. I live in Precinct 3. My name is Ana Reza, and I work for the Episcopal Diocese of the Rio Grande. Our migrants have always been criminalized. They are human beings, not criminals. Recently, my colleague's niece's husband got detained 2 months ago. He is undocumented, has been living in this country for 30 years, has worked for the same company for those 30 years. In Albuquerque, our diocese is all Nuevo Mexico, El Paso, and the Big Bend. At a gas station, during work, putting gas in the company truck, he got harassed and detained. Now he's been sitting in a detention center for what? Let him free and continue his work. Let him be with his family. Free them all. There are 70,000 detained throughout the USA. Over 74% of them have never had a criminal charge. Detention centers are evil. They are torture. People in there, even in the midst of this evil, they create community. They pray together. They support each other. They help orientate the new people that come in. It's hard. Some of them lose hope. Some have died, as we have heard, and are tortured, as we have heard. We need you all and everyone to stand up with as much strength and courage that those being targeted muster to keep their dignity and hope alive. We have lots more tools and our freedom to do so much more. I cry out to God, deliver them from this evil. In the silence, I see it's up to us. We are called. Say no to these evil places. Today, the New Mexico House advances bill banning ICE detention contracts in the state. We pray it happens. It's hard to do that in the state now, but let's vote out the current cruel administration right now. Here in El Paso, let's fight for a humane county. Thank you for your attention, healings, blessings to all. We are mourning. Let us love and soften our hearts to each other. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Ana.
It horrifies me to think that we want to expand our capacity in our detention system. There is, of course, there are companies and individuals that are making money off of this. This is a business, and there's kind of a government detention center industrial complex going on right now. The more beds we have, the more there is market pressure to fill those beds in order to keep the employees going and all of that. And there is a tension in some of our communities, particularly our poorer communities, where they need jobs and steady government jobs to open detention centers as an economic driver for those cities and towns. There are cities and towns in the world whose names you know only because of the detention centers and prisons and concentration camps that were opened in those places. Do we want our cities, our states, to be known for that? And I'm talking not just as a Christian and a bishop, I'm talking to people of faith, but also people who have no faith. We all have morality, and we have a right to demand that our government, which in the United States is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people, that government reflect our morality. Even as we're seeing positive efforts in Congress to stop the tactics that ICE has been using, the raids and the provocation of violence, the smashing of the car windows, the shooting of people who are trying to film them on the streets of Minneapolis, even as that is happening, we need to also remember that the detention center infrastructure is still there, and it's still full of hundreds, if not thousands of people who have been detained as a part of those efforts. We need to stand up and make our voice, proclaim our morality, and demand that the government reflect that morality. Now, don't get me wrong. We still need border enforcement and we need public safety. We do need jails and police officers. But their job is to protect us and keep us safe, not to harass us and imprison people who have no criminal record. And we know from the statistics that most of the people being detained in the last year were not engaged in criminal activity like running guns or human trafficking. They were not engaged in the drug trade. They were working in restaurants. They were doing manual labor, working construction. They were working on behalf of us, and their taxes and their spending in our communities has helped to drive our economy. So let's have our voice be clear. We want moral law enforcement, and we do not need larger detention centers or more of them in order to detain even more of our hardworking neighbors.